Hey everyone, this is Dean with DCA Crypto. Today I've got some big projects I wanted to cover with you guys with the news with some of the tokens being unlisted due to the SEC declaring them as securities. There's 3 of them that I want to cover today, so let's jump into it. Alright, as you can see, the market's been down over the last 7 days due to this SEC FUD. We've had the Binance US delisting a bunch of tokens and stopping the USD withdrawals and deposits due to the SEC lawsuit against them, and also with the Coinbase lawsuit against the SEC. Now, there's some other news that's recently come up, and there's 3 tokens I want to talk about in general today. Basically, these 3 tokens are going to be Cardano, Solana, and Polygon MATIC. And these 3 tokens have some sell-offs that's probably coming up here in the next few weeks to watch out for. So if these are 3 that you're holding, just be aware that there's probably going to be a decline in the price. It's not guaranteed, but there's a likely chance that it's coming, and I'll explain here why in a little bit. Now, currently, these are down. Cardano, if we look at ADA here, it's been down. If we go to 7-day, was up to 32 cents so just a week ago. Now it's down to around 25, 26 cents, and yeah, 37, 38 cents is what it was up to a few weeks ago. So it's come down quite a bit. It's had quite a correction. And the same with Solana. This was up to like $22 or so recently, and it's down to in the $14 range. So it's had quite a huge decline in the last month or so, as you can see the drop off here. And as you know, I've just been buying. I bought some more Solana when this crash occurred. I picked it up in the $14 range, and I didn't pick up any Cardano, but I'd like to get some. I only want to just want a little bit more Solana, and then I'll have like 300 of them. I think that'll be good for now, and then I'll probably pick up some Cardano and some other ones. Polygon came down to 51 cents just the other day. It came down here. It's only showing like 55 on here, but on some exchanges I saw it dip down to 51 cents. It wicked down. So basically, this are starting to be a good, decent price range for Polygon. Personally, I'd wait for this one to be under 50 cents, and I think that's probably coming in the next several months here, possibly in the next couple weeks with this news that's coming, and I'll just cover that now. Robinhood has decided that they're going to delist all 3 of these tokens, and basically anyone has a chance to buy and sell them up until the 27th of June. And if they don't move them off the exchange, any tokens that are left on the Robinhood exchange are going to be sold off. And if they're in people's wallets when they're sold off, they're just going to be compensated for the value of the token at the time of the sell-off. So on the 27th, there's going to be likely a bunch of these tokens, these 3, sold off from the Robinhood, and there may be some sell-off before then for people anticipating this, and that's probably what some of this sell-off currently has been from. So just keep that in mind. There may, if you're looking to pick some of these up after the 27th or so, might be a really good time to pick some up. It might see some really low prices on these, and I'm not looking at this as I'm scared or anything like that. Yeah, it's a little scary with the SEC trying to like cover some of these tokens and call them securities, and we're not sure where all this is headed with legislation and the legality of all of it and all that. But I think that what's going to come out of this is you're going to see a bunch of these regulations in the United States finally come out and give clarity to a bunch of this and stop a bunch of this nonsense of, oh, the SEC is fully in charge of these. I think the SEC is going to be pulled away from crypto, and they're not going to be in charge of it. That's just my personal opinion. If we go to Robinhood, this video about the Robinhood here and about this exchange in general, I'm just going to play this quick. But like I said, I think we're going to see some regulation come out of this where the SEC is not going to be in charge of crypto. And I think there's going to be at least some temporary legislation put in place to kind of get the SEC to back off for now until Congress has time to review all this and make better legislation. Just want to watch part of this video quick so you guys can get their view on what's going to happen possibly here.
Means is that like the liquidity is going to dry up. yes, consumers are going to have less options of purchasing different tokens, but for these tokens and these projects, what it really means is that like the liquidity is going to dry up quite a bit, and you should probably expect these token prices to fall because not as many places are going to support them. If it's not Robinhood anymore, which historically has sort of led to a price pump similar to the Coinbase pump for a lot of these tokens, then you're probably going to see the opposite effect, right, where the price of these things go down. And this sort of follows up on a general or like larger picture thing right here, which is that centralized exchange trading volumes are dropping quite a bit. According to new data from CC data, this May was the lowest month for trading volume since, I believe, March of 2019. It fell 21%.
That's a long time.
Low, right? That's the lowest in almost 4 years.
Basically, the last bear market.
Really because the
So,
reaction,
I mean, it makes sense.
Back end, there's a lot of these brokers, a lot of these custodians are not willing to work with crypto anymore. A lot of these banking partnerships have fallen off, and now we're seeing the effects of both the delistings and the liquidity drying up.
So this is what I've been talking about. This year's going to be, bullish in the beginning of the year, and the second half of the year is probably going to be very bearish. And this is typical for the crypto bull run. There's always FUD that comes in during these accumulation phases, whether it's SEC regulation or China banning crypto again. It's always something. There's always some narrative that comes in during this accumulation year that drives the prices down. This time it's the SEC causing FUD. It's always something. But crypto is, if people haven't learned this by now, crypto's not going away. It's not going away. It's only growing, and it's going to continue to grow. And sooner or later, the U.S. is going to have legislation in place and regulation to make it more crypto friendly, because a lot of our congressmen and women and representatives are fighting for crypto, and they're fighting for this innovation space. They don't want it to leave America. They want it to stay here, and they want America to be the leader in this game with crypto innovation. If we look at the Fear and Greed Index, it's only at like a 46, even with all this FUD. Now we start getting down to this red here, might see that about the bottom of all this pain. But as I've said before, we had this crash after the last bull run, and we came down here, and this would have been like the initial FUD drop probably in June of last year. And then this would have been like December, January this year, when prices were really low at the end of December for a lot of these cryptos. And then we had this pump up to like 30,000 for Bitcoin, and a bunch of the cryptos and AI tokens pumped up. And now I think we're coming back down here, and we may hit the bottom by the end of this year. Now, I can't guarantee this. This is just how I'm looking at this with the Fear and Greed Index. The crypto has been following it very, very much to a T. And this stage is like the depression stage. And if you notice, we're not quite there yet. Some people are still bullish on Bitcoin and this and that. A lot of times in the bear markets, and you're starting to see some of it. I've seen some comments on Twitter the other day where people were like, it's over for crypto. Just, it's a waste of your money, waste of your time. Don't put any money into that garbage. It's going to zero. And these are the things that you're going to start hearing towards the bottom of these bear markets. And these are the times where a lot of people are selling because they're terrified. They're terrified that these tokens are going to be securities, and they're not going to be able to grow the project, and it's going to go to zero. And in my opinion, this is a time that I'm going to buy because I feel confident in these projects. I am confident in Cardano. I'm confident in Solana. I'm confident in Polygon MATIC. These are huge projects with huge investors. There's lots of companies involved in these projects, and a lot of these people don't realize, but these companies have a lot of money and a lot of influence on the political world, and they're going to start really pressing hard on these politicians to get their act together and start getting the regulation and these bills in place to make crypto safe, and the big investors at that point are going to jump back in, and you'll start seeing all these tokens that are being delisted. All of a sudden, they're going to be listed on exchanges. Now, there's a chance that Binance collapses in this whole deal. Now, a lot of people may think that's impossible, but Binance, if they are doing something illegal, if it comes out that the allegations are true, I don't think CZ himself would do that, but who knows? I mean, there's a lot of greed with people, but if it comes out that Binance has been doing shady things and they collapse, you're going to see a true bottom in the crypto market. You're going to feel like it's going to zero. There's going to be a lot of pain in this market if that happens. People are going to freak out if Binance collapses. Now, hopefully it doesn't, but if it does, just keep that in mind. I mean, Binance US is pretty much going to be dead, because if they're just trading crypto and if they've delisted a bunch of these tokens, their trading volume is going to be so low that they're probably eventually going to shut down Binance US. So we'll just have to kind of see where it goes from here. All right, so I want to pull up some videos here on YouTube on this hearing just real quick so you guys can take a look at this. I think this is important to see what our Congress is doing. It looks like they're actually going to get some regulation passed through here, is my opinion on where this is going. Now, there's some fight from some of the people against this, but you can tell the people that are fighting this are staged. They're reading stuff right off from papers. They've been given the questions ahead of time, and they're literally reading off of scripts. They're being told by somebody what to say is basically what's going on here. And I think these other politicians in Congress are seeing right through it. And they know that, some regulation needs to be done here. So I want to take a quick look at these videos so you guys can see what's going on. I think this is important that you watch this.
Nearly 15 years since the Bitcoin white paper, an idea has become the new internet architecture, with ownership, digital identity, and value storage native to technology. Digital assets now are no longer a new technology. They're used all over the world. And America has always led technology invention, and if not invention, implementation. And today we're at risk of falling behind competitors around the globe. This hearing has been years in the making, bipartisan years in the making. Over the past several months, this committee has engaged in an unprecedented joint effort with our colleagues on the Agriculture Committee. Earlier this month, Chairman Thompson and I, along with Subcommittee Chairs Frenchhill and Dusty Johnson, released a discussion draft that would close the gaps between our securities and commodities laws and provide much-needed clarity for digital assets. We adhere to the time-tested principle of same risk, same regulation, while modernizing our regulatory framework to better match this innovative technology. In fact, requirements set out in the draft bill are much more onerous than the requirements for traditional financial intermediaries.
So he's letting them know that, basically that regulation needs to happen for this. They've been asking for it for a while, and it's time that they take action on this. And they're getting pressed really hard right now with everything that's going on. And with the Sam Bankman-Fried, the SBF guy, and all the FTX crash and that, they're pressing on these senators and representatives to get this passed through. And they've put forth a bill for stable coins and a bill for crypto in general to adjust the ruling on whether it's a security or a commodity. And they're basically saying that a crypto could be a security when it first launches to raise the funds for the project. But once it's launched and then it becomes more decentralized, it should be declared a commodity at that time. And the SEC's, the way the regulation is currently, it doesn't account for that. Once it's declared a security, it's always a security. And they're saying, no. These cryptos may start out as a security, but after they're launched and decentralized and the network is stable without the party in place that created it, they're no longer a security. So we need different regulations for this. Now, he's got some more questionings for witnesses here.
Mr. Garrison, Dr. Sarir, let's start with you. Mr. Garrison, how many foreign regulators have proposed new regulatory frameworks for digital assets?
You're looking at about half a dozen to a dozen.
Okay, including Europe.
Including Europe?
And Europe is far more advanced than we are.
Okay. Yes.
We see venture capitalists now deploying offices, American venture capital firms going there to seek to invest. Are other countries implementing new regulations around digital assets, specific to digital assets?
They are. Whole cloth new regulations.
Okay, and Do you think consumers are protected here in the United States by our lack of clear rules?
No, they are not.
Okay.
There you go.
Dr. Sreer.
We're not protected.
How does the threat of enforcement action stymie innovation and hold back developers from new projects here in the United States?
Lack of clarity around regulations involving the issuance of tokens holds back quite a few innovators from actually residing in the United States, and we're seeing actual people who are active in this field move wholesale out of our borders to other jurisdictions.
And that's been pressure on you to develop your technology overseas, not here in the United States.
Well, I'm very happy to be in the United States myself, but I can see the pressure on other people.
Okay. Now, Mr. Garrison, in terms of the cost structure of potential action, enforcement action by the SEC, what does that look like for a firm? What does that look like? I don't want to get into the book of big law and what they charge, but it's not cheap, right?
It's not. You're hundreds of thousands of dollars and into the millions, depending on the charges.
Okay. So, as I said...
So it's just absolutely ridiculous what's going on here. And they're pointing it out to our legislators that this needs to change and needs to stop before the U.S. falls behind. Now, I'll play this other video quick. Just bear with me. Just want you to watch a little bit of what's going on here.
Mr. Chair, before we get to the substantive question of what to do with crypto, we as a country have to answer a more fundamental question. Who among us should get to decide the future of emerging technologies like crypto and blockchain? Should it be Chair Gary Gensler, an unelected bureaucrat who answers only to himself? Or should it be the United States Congress, whose members are elected by and therefore accountable to the people? And so, Mr. Allaire, do you believe, as I do, that an act of Congress would be the most democratic means by which to decide the future of digital assets?
Thank you for the question, Congressman Torres. I do agree, and in fact, the Presidential Working Group specifically asked Congress to act urgently on this matter over a year and a half ago. And so I believe it's critical that Congress does take ball control here.
So yeah, I mean, hopefully they take this seriously and get this legislation passed. So they're pointing out here basically that, Congress needs to act urgently to get this legislation passed. The Democrats have pointed out some gaps in the legislation where they loosely worded some of it, where they put in some kind of clause in the bill where it's okay to commingle funds, and it said something about when convenient or something like that. So there's some wording in the legislation that needs to be tightened up and changed, but it's good that both sides are discussing this. They're taking it seriously, and it sounds like both sides are considering this legislation to be passed if there's agreements on both sides that it is worded correctly and that it's still going to protect our existing markets, because the concerns that the people who are against this legislation for crypto have is that it's going to give an opening for these companies who are doing like stocks for their companies. Instead of doing stocks, that if they wanted to raise more money, they could just start a cryptocurrency and do it that way and get like a loophole around all of the regulation that they have to follow with stocks as securities. So that is a concern, and I do understand that, but at some point they can't deny that crypto is here to stay and that all these companies are doing crypto anyways, so they need to do some kind of legislation for it so we can still take advantage of this technology in the United States without pushing all of the innovation out. So hopefully they take this seriously and get this bill passed and come together on an agreement on, and they've come together on a bunch of it so far. I think they're just kind of getting down to the nitty-gritty on some of the wording and stuff now, and hearing from both sides to make sure that they cover everything to make sure that the crypto regulation doesn't hurt the other industries such as the stock market and stuff like that. So, but personally, I think stock market is going to be just about done with now that crypto's out. I mean, who really wants to deal so much with stocks when it's so much easier to just trade crypto and not have to deal with the stock market and all of their stupid hours that you can only trade between, this time and this time each day, and they're closed on the weekends. And, the new thing with crypto, I mean, you can trade crypto 24/7. It doesn't matter what day of the week it is, what time of the week it is. And that's kind of how our society is heading. I mean, you have a lot of people that work third shift and they're sleeping during the day. So, they're awake at night and they do their trading at night. And, that's just the way crypto is and why it's so convenient for a lot of people. And I know a lot of things are kind of looking bleak with crypto right now, but eventually this legislation is going to get passed and things are going to be better, and the big investors will feel more comfortable jumping back in. But I didn't want to make this video too long, but I want people to know like the whole picture and what's happening in the United States if you're not paying attention to it, and just kind of point out what's going on with these tokens, because I think it's important for you to see the whole picture and know that our government is working on it behind the scenes, and hopefully they get this legislation passed within the next several months here, so we can still have a decent bull run in 2025, and I think that's going to happen. And I don't think even if it isn't fully passed by then, I think we're still going to have a bull market in 2025, because the world out there has a large market for crypto, especially with China accepting crypto now, and actually China saying that all of these cryptos that were listed as securities so far in these last few lawsuits are okay to trade in China. And I don't think that's a coincidence. And a lot of these people are pointing this out, that hey, China and Europe and them have opened their doors to this with wide open arms. They already have legislation in place and regulation, and that's where all of these companies are moving to, and we don't want to lose that. We don't want to lose out on that. So, I mean, the government can think about this here. If people can make money from crypto, they can tax that income and get more income. Where if it leaves the country, the money leaves with it, and they can't tax funds from other countries, or profits from other countries. So that's all I've got for this video, guys. Just hang in there throughout these times in the market where things seem bleak and brutal and bloody. And just remember, that's a time where you want to accumulate more at better prices, or at least that's my strategy and what I'm doing. What you do what's best for your investments and your portfolio. That's up to you. I'm not saying you should go buy any of these tokens. I'm just letting you know what my opinion is and what I plan on doing. And it's possible that we see lower prices coming throughout the rest of this year. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong on that. But I'd appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can get future videos of mine. I try not to make them as long as this one, so you guys don't lose the interest of the video. But I wanted you to see the whole picture here as to what's going on. I appreciate it, guys, and we'll see you on the next video.